It's very hard to miss that bad with the right-handed pitcher. So for me, it's
happened in baseball. I mean, guys are trying to pitch in, guys are looking to make quality pitches. Trevino got Toddy to open the game when he was the opener in the game at our place, and got him again today, and I didn't feel real good, and just trying to make quality pitches and fight for the inner half part of the plate, and ball got away from Vasquez. So I understand that they have to do it at that point, and there wasn't any complaint from my side.
He hasn't come close, and for me, it's like if they feel that's warranted on their side, part of baseball, if that's what they feel, and I give them credit because they hit him in the leg, own it, and we move on. But it's not a misfire. I do feel it was intentional, and again, that's part of baseball, which we all understand.
Guys were getting hit, Dave thrown out, balks all over the place. That game was bananas. Ballpark Cam up and running in Los Angeles.
That's why you guys love Mike Schill.
And Dodgers, he doesn't give a heck. The West is wild, by the way. Mike Schill was managing that game like he wanted it bad, but the Dodgers shut the door. Our Padre is in studio with us, Jake Peavy. Good morning to you. Love having you with us. I was watching that game from start to finish. They don't like each other from the very first pitch. It is very apparent. The crowd is electric. This is it. This is the rivalry. How'd we get here, Jake?
Well, we got here. From the last 5 or so years, the San Diego Padres have come on the scene and really started to create a intense of a rivalry, if not the best that we have in the game, D-Row. Look, get on my socks because I am a Padre, but I'm also a San Francisco Giant.
The reason, that too, we talked about this back in edit. We both played for the Giants. You much more accomplished in that uniform, but
buddy, we're world champions with the Giants. Neither one of them.
When we went to play the Dodgers, we had to get security to the buses after the game. I'm like, this is crazy.
Our buddy Tim Flannery, Love Harder Project, came out of just how intense the Dodger rivalries have been. And it was San Francisco and LA for the longest time. But I would argue now that this is the greatest, most intense rivalry we have in our game. And look, let's just start with the tape. Let's go back the last 5 years. 2020, different year for us all, right? We're going to get Clayton Kershaw fired up in this segment. Y'all remember Trent Grisham? You got to think. In 2020, no fans in the stands. Guys can hear each other chirping in a way that started causing this. Dodgers in 2020, now 21 goes the way they do. 22, Padres at home slay the Dragons. The Dodgers would get into the postseason, I think, and not play with the edge that you see them play with now and what was able to punch through and win the World Series. In that 2022 series, the Dodgers seemingly thought, we're the better team, we're just going to show up and play our game. That did not happen. Now let's fast forward to last year. We all know what transpired. Dodgers win the World Series. Let's take you there. This is Mr. Irrelevant. This got Jerks and Profar going. Will Smith calls him irrelevant. Jerks and Profar doesn't like it. The bench is clear.
Will's not he stands on business. I've been around it.
Now look, remember the postseason? Mr. Irrelevant goes into the stands, taunts some right here, makes a great play. Watch this. Alex Vesia jersey, I see ya. Taunts the fans. This got ugly. Jack Flaherty, Manny Machado. Flaherty tells him to go sit down. You can't do that. Manny, look, as much as you want to, you can't do that. Punch him out. You've said enough. Here it goes now. Manny gets the ball, throws it towards the dugout with some ump on it.
That was when we hit, like,
well, look,
all bets are off now.
Look, that woke the Dodgers up. But you see right here, these teams do not like each other, and I like it. Now, 2 nights ago, this was certainly not on purpose.
Yeah, I didn't understand Pages' reaction here. Obviously, we don't know the back and forth or if there was any, but it didn't appear like that one was on purpose. I could be dead wrong.
He was already losing in the game, and again, if you're going to pick on somebody, it's not going to be him. This is the second time Fernando has got hit in as many weeks with a fastball after one in the leg, against Trevino, one here, and then Vasquez just does what you do. He takes care of his guy. Dave Roberts wants you to own this. You don't own this.
No one's ever owned it.
You don't come out in the media and say, yes, an eye for an eye. But when your guy gets hit twice, this is what's going to happen to the other team. And Vasquez did it the right way, below the belt, and we move on. I think the umpiring crew did a fabulous job last night. They let the guys play. Nobody got thrown out. I understand why Dave Roberts, again, is going to go out and try to protect your main guy, but this is baseball, guys. We've changed so much over the last few years. Guys can't get hit with fastballs. Merrill is already out of this Padre lineup.
Yes.
If something happens like happened with Bryce Harper to Fernando Tatis, the Padres have no chance now on paper to keep up with the Dodgers. So, look, took you through a lot there, but I'm telling you, when these two teams play, get the television on. The stakes are high.
Yeah, and you know this real quick, like, I get it. You want to let the guys play and you want to let them have fun and the bat flips, and I get it. I've softened to it. But you drill our best player in the back multiple times, your best player's getting it.
You expect to see anything today?
No, it's over. That's exactly how stuff gets taken care of. And like I wanted to see with Philadelphia.
Yeah.
When Philadelphia, Bryce Harper gets taken down by Spencer Strider, you just go ahead and eye for an eye. One of your guys is going to take a fastball. No damage done. These two teams play on. I'm sorry that some people don't like this.
I know.
But it's just the way the game has to go when you're going to talk about staying healthy for the marathon.
I agree.
It is our MLB Network Showcase game tonight.
Yeah, should be a lot of
Should
fun.
be a lot of fun.
All right, hour number 2 rolls on.
Cheerios. I'm Steve Phillips, filling in for Brian Kenny, joined by Joel Sherman, Anthony Record, and Dan Levitt. And Dan, an author of a number of baseball books, the latest of which is Intentional Balk about the cheating in baseball.
Absolutely. Look, cheating and innovation, how they sort of go together over the history of baseball.
Well, it's interesting stuff for sure. Glad to have Joel and Anthony here as well. All right, so the Dodgers-Padres series, a big one. The Dodgers beat the Padres last night 8-6 to take their second straight game of the series. Game 3 of the 4-game series is tonight. There was some drama, though, last night. Some hit-by pitches. All right, third inning, Fernando Tatis Jr. is up. Martin Maldonado on second, he had doubled. Tatis tries to bunt the first pitch, and then on the second pitch, Lou Trevino plunks him. In the bottom of the inning, with the bases empty, Randy Vasquez throws an inside fastball to Ohtani, and then he hits him in the thigh. Ohtani goes down, limping the first. Dave Roberts comes out of the dugout looking for an explanation, wanting some certainty and some consistency in the way the umpires ruled about it. They issued a warning to both teams at that time, but Roberts ejected, and all players stay in the game. All right, so was somebody or anybody up to no good with that yesterday? Anthony, your thoughts on it?
I mean, clearly the Vasquez pitching inside to Ohtani, that was intentional. I think Dave Roberts' biggest gripe is, why are we getting warned? Because he didn't feel like the plunking of Machado really was necessarily, intentional. And so from that vantage point, you're punishing us now, and our pitchers cannot essentially pitch inside for the remainder of the game, or they don't feel like they can without the potential threat of being ejected from the game. That's a tough situation to be in. You have to fight for your players in that situation. From Robert's perspective, he's saying to the umpires, look, we didn't retaliate. We haven't even had a chance to retaliate, and you completely took our ability to even utilize half of the plate against their hitters away from us unnecessarily. Completely agree with Dave Roberts there. And I would say, look, is this just kind of traditional baseball and a little bit of back and forth? Maybe a guy gets hit, whether it was intentional or not. Are we going to come back at your best hitter? Absolutely. That's kind of the way the game polices itself. He did it the right way, hit him in the thigh. To me, there's not a whole lot really that I'm worried about if I'm on one of those teams. It's just one of those situations where things escalated.
So Tatis, it seemed, got hit, but it didn't feel intentional to me in any way. It just seemed like he squared around the bunt. The next one came inside. Even the reaction of Trevino at the time was like, oh, it got away from me. Maybe he fooled me. But with Ohtani, Vasquez hitting Ohtani seemed like, you hit our star, I'm going to hit your star.
It did feel like that. And just going back to what Anthony said earlier, regarding whether or not you could retaliate. In fact, Jose Iglesias did get hit later, and nobody was ejected. So even though it looked like you weren't going to be able to retaliate, I don't think that was intentional. And clearly the umpire was saying he didn't think it was intentional. But I did think that was interesting that there was a hit after the warning and no retaliation.
Now, Andy Pages had been hit the day before on Monday, and I wonder if the Padres believe, because when Pages got hit, Mike Schilt came out like, why would we hit you? Like, you know what, now? He did homer in that game, too. But so he ends up getting hit. He glares out to the mound afterward. Mike Schilt's acting like, we're not going to throw at a guy like you. Now, he did have 4 hits yesterday, 2 Pages. But do you think the Padres believe Tatis getting hit was a reaction to Pages getting hit?
So I think the book on Tatis in general, whether he's squaring or not, is to pitch him inside. And so I think that was unintentional, but they're fine with it. Like I used to say when I watched like Roger Clemens pitch, he's like, pitching inside, if it hits you, okay. Like I think they were like, okay,
right.
If it hits you, it hits you.
Right.
I think Vasquez was on purpose, but I think this is within the context of this is now the Yankees and Red Sox in the sport. These two teams despise each other. They've met a couple of times in the postseason now. The proximity of where they are, the Padres not wanting to be the little brother and building up payroll and building up stars. This is within the context of what I actually like in baseball, which is when two teams don't like each other, and this is actually good. I mean, you don't want to see anybody get hurt, but I like the hatred. I see too much fraternization on the field. This is better.
Yeah, I will say, though, that I like to see the first strike offender penalized as opposed to looking for retaliation.
But do you think that Tatis was hit on purpose?
No.
So
No. Right. So I think instead of issuing a warning,
throw Vasquez out of the game.
kick Vasquez out of the game would have been what I would have preferred to have done. But he didn't do it that way. So we'll see what happens tonight in that one, in Game 3 of the series. All right. Elsewhere in the National League West, Rafael Devers introduced to the Giants yesterday. Then he went out, got a couple of hits, took ground balls at first base. Although the Giants lost to the Guardians 3-2. Now Devers said, "I'm here to play wherever they want me to play." In pregame, he took the ground balls at first base. All right, so it sounds like that he's actually willing to do things in San Francisco, Joel, that he might not have been willing to do in Boston.
Yeah, things had just rotted in Boston. I think management handled it terribly. I think Devers handled it terribly. And at some point, it became obvious that Boston was getting him out of town because I think they also had general regret that they signed him, after trading Betts, after losing Bogarts in free agency and feeling like the fan base hates us for not keeping homegrown guys. I always feel like third base to first base is one of the most natural moves in the sport. I looked it up. Our researchers looked it up for me. 5 voted Hall of Famers played at least 400 games at third base and first base. Tony Perez, Jim Thome, George Brett, Harmon Killebrew, and Dick Allen. Joe Torre did it too. He got in as a manager, but it was a great player. By the way, Miguel Cabrera will get in. And if Pete Rose ever gets in, those all. And by the way, the guy who he's most like, the one's lefty and one's righty in the sport, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., was a third baseman who moved to first base. You've got to do the bigger thing for what's best for the team to win. You're now a paid player. You're not playing for that anymore. You've got to be playing for championships. What do you do to help your team?
Right. And he seemed unwilling, Anthony, to make that move. Now it sounds like he's okay. And he actually, moving around at first base, fielding ground balls yesterday, he actually looked pretty good doing that.
Well, I mean, he should, to be honest with you. And this goes to Joel's point. If you can play third base, you should be able to play first base in the big leagues. Honestly, if you can play a position in Major League Baseball, outfield, infield, catchers, particularly anywhere in the infield, even catcher, you should be able to make that move to first base. It's not, and I'm not trying to put down that position, but to do it at least at the standard average level, that's not something that takes a ton of time and effort to get to that point. As long as you have some athletic ability, you should be able to do that. Now, to Devers, I look at the situation in Boston. Sometimes you just feel burned by an organization, by a front office, by a coaching staff, whatever it is. And those feelings, sometimes, look, they may linger, whether right or wrong, whether you should hold on to them or not. They lingered for him, and clearly coming to San Francisco and making that statement on the first day, he was saying, yes, I was still bothered by the fact that They moved me off at third base, then basically said, you're going to be a full-time DH. No, wait, we might have you go back to third if someone gets hurt or go play first base. He was bothered by that. Clearly, going to San Francisco, he kind of wanted to make it known. I am a team player. I'm here to be a team player. I was bothered by what happened there, but now it's a fresh start. And hey, good for him for that fresh start, good for the Giants for having that fresh start, and good for Boston for having the guts to move on from him if that was the case. And now they get to get some of their younger guys some more playing time.
You know, Devers kind of ends up leaving Boston as a bit of a villain. I mean, I think everybody's against him. Particularly, they got mad when they said that he told Kristen Campbell, why are you playing first base? Why are you volunteering to do it? But now he goes to San Francisco, and he's a hero. They're chanting his name. They're celebrating. It's everything else. It's quite a difference.
Well, absolutely. And he obviously had a falling out and trust issues with the existing front office in Boston. And that wasn't obviously the front office that signed him. So a new start is